I'm Princeton Vice, the Monster Sitter. I've been a horror host for 2 years, and I want to help you become a horror host in 8.5 steps. But first, a quick refresher. What is a horror host? A horror host is a person who presents a horror movie to an audience. Sometimes they're good movies, sometimes they're terrible. Horror hosts started in local TV studios and early cable channels as a way to stretch out short movies, filling in time with skits, trivias, interviews, and a whole lot of nonsense. However, nowadays many individuals have kept the tradition alive, not out of necessity, but by choice. The hosts prefer to add their own personal touch, and the audience loves it. Most horror hosts have spooky monikers and makeup, while others use their own name and are more low-key. Alright, you're all caught up. Now, the 8.5 steps to becoming a horror host. Step number 1. Reflect. Why do you want to do this? You should begin by pinning down the number one reason why you want to be a horror host. I'll start with some bad reasons first. Bad reason number 1. Money. When I started, Count Gore warned me, don't do it for the money, because there isn't any. And he's not wrong. In the last decade, there have been maybe 2 or 3 horror hosts in the world who can make a decent living doing it full time. To put that in perspective, you are 150 times more likely to be accepted in the NBA. Bad reason number 2. Fame. Now, I will confess, fame is that shiny object that distracts me from time to time. And by time to time, I mean constantly. But fame is a perfect example of a grass is always greener situation. There will always be someone else with more fans, with more likes. Even if you have a video that goes viral and gets 1 million views, the next video you publish might only get 500,000. And the one after that might only get 250,000. And you may never recapture that same high. If you're going to be happy in this gig, you have to find a reason to do it that you have control over. I can control the quality of my videos. I can control the quantity of my videos. I can't control how many people will see it and how many people will like it. Luckily, there are some good reasons to be a horror host. Maybe you want to write sketches and perform them with your friends. Maybe you love makeup and want to push your skills. Maybe you love TV production and want to film and edit videos. It looks great on a resume. Maybe you love the horror community and want to engage with other fans. Or maybe you just really like horror movies and want to share your love of them. Some hosts just share trivia and gush about the movies, and that's fine. Personally, I love all sorts of artistic things. Acting, music, film, puppets, cookings, crafting, games. Because I make my own show, I can showcase any of that stuff, and it all fits under the same umbrella. Once you found a good reason for you, write it down. Don't skip this step. I am terrible at self-reflecting, but it will come in handy, I promise. Step 2, research. Watch other shows with horror hosts. Watch big productions like MST3K and Joe Bob Bricks. Watch obscure shows with hosts filming out of their basement. Watch the newbies coming up. Watch the classics from 60 years ago if you can. I recommend the documentary American Scary, which covers hosts from countless decades. Also, look for documentaries on horror hosts in your area. I'm in Virginia, and I found the documentary Virginia Creepers, which is all about horror hosts local to me. Hell, I've even had the luck to meet a good chunk of them. And I know this sounds strange, but also watch horror hosts you don't like. You might be surprised and change your mind. Or you might end up pinning down what you want to do differently. If creating art is like a jigsaw puzzle, submitting yourself to art you don't like is a way to find the edge pieces. You'll learn where your limit is, what brings you joy, and what lines you don't want to cross. A great place to find a lot of hosts are online streaming channels like the Monster Channel, Tingler Television, and the Vortex. Not only can you watch their content, but it's also lots of fans in the chat, most of whom are great at answering questions and helping new hosts get started. Number 3, create your brand. Now is the time to make your character. Maybe it's one you've had in the back of your head for years. If not, brainstorm it. Make mood boards on interest. Think about your favorite hosts, actors, and monsters. I picked Princeton Vice as an homage to one of my favorite actors, Vincent Price. Go to Halloween stores and thrift shops. Shop online, mix and match costumes, play around. Ideally, you want at least one thing about you that sets you apart. A gimmick, a signature costume, a key prop. Doesn't have to be big. For example, Bob Wilkins was simply a suit, a cigar, and a rocking chair. Mr. Lobo of Cinema Insomnia does the same, except replacing the cigar with a bright tie. If you're struggling with this, remember step number 1, why you're doing this. Let your passion inspire your character. If you're passionate about old movies, maybe your horror host runs a haunted movie theater or video rental store. If you love makeup, maybe you're a creepy plastic surgeon or a doll maker. For example, take horror host Bobby Gammonster. Nice guy. His character is a ghoulish museum curator. Well, this is based on his real passion. Bobby is such a big collector that he has turned his house into a horror artifact museum. Literally, you can visit it. What was the process for my character? Well, nearly every horror host I've met has been extremely sweet and friendly. However, I felt a large number of horror host characters that they played tended to be mean, attacking the movie, mocking the audience, bullying the co-host. If that's your brand of comedy, go for it. But I didn't want that to be my thing. So I went the opposite extreme, a kind, cuddly cinnamon bun of a host that just naturally morphed into a parody of a children's show host like Mr. Rogers and Steve's from Blue Clues. And that's how the monster sitter concept was born. Quick tip, before you settle on a character or show name, always do a Google search to make sure nothing too big or popular uses it already. Don't pick something too generic. If you're called The Zombie, no one will find you. If you search zombie on Google, you get 1 billion results. And sometimes the best way to stand out as a horror host is not to do horror. Maybe your real passion is for classic cartoons or pulp adventure serials or kung fu films, and that's fine. A lot of horror channels will still be eager to show your stuff. However, before you get too niche or too modern, remember the amount of material you can host is limited. Which brings us to step number 4. Find some movies you might want to host. If you plan to show the whole movie and it's not yours, you'll want to find something in the public domain. Now this can be a bit difficult, as there's no definitive list of what's public and what isn't. Wikipedia has a reliable page of films that are in the public domain, but it's in no way exhaustive. Internet Archive has lots of films, but many of them are loaded up there illegally. Ones that are specifically tagged Creative Commons are more likely to be public, but that's not a guarantee. It's not a bad idea to confirm it on 3 or more sites, or check it with the streaming site you plan to be hosting on. If you plan to post it on YouTube, one test you can do is upload it to your channel first, and it'll often show you if any copyright claim exists before you even hit publish. If no major claims exist, the chance of it taking you down are reduced, but never absolutely zero. To make it matters worse, some copyright trolls will try to strike down films that are public. One option is to steal, copy what other hosts are streaming, but be judicious. Some movies like Night of the Living Dead, House on Haunted Hill, Carnival Souls are shown frequently because they're actually pretty good. However, these are also often overplayed a lot, so I try to limit how many of those I show each year. My favorite surefire way to show something that is rare and copyright free is to do films that just came into the public domain this year. For example, in 2024, films from 1928 just became public in the United States. That means you have no doubt that they're public, and probably haven't been hosted a lot. I have another video that goes into more details about that. Another option is to skip hosting full films and only do reviews, like Doc Dread. That lets you do a lot of stuff that's modern. Alternatively, you can try reaction videos, but that gets into some questionable areas. There's a whole YouTube videos on how to make good react videos that are constructive and less likely to count as infringement. Ironically, this is where having a mean character or sidekick comes in handy, because you're more likely to be protected if you're parroting something or mocking it. Disclosure, not a lawyer, not legal advice. Step number 5, film your segments. Now you have to write and film your original host segments. Typically, most films have at least 3 parts, one at the beginning introducing it, one at the middle, one at the end. Personally, I'd like to have more, which are spaced out about 30-40 minutes apart. Generally, you want to add enough content to make the movie fit into a 90-minute or 2-hour slot with a 5-minute buffer. Once you have a script, read aloud and time yourself to give yourself an approximate time. If you go over, cut the material and add it to the bottom of your script, but don't delete it, you might end up needing it later. Now, some horror hosts don't write a script, they simply create a prompt and wing it. I don't recommend that unless you have a lot of improv experience. Likewise, if you're working with others, it's more considerate to write it out first for their sake. As for cameras, I recommend starting small. Nothing wrong with recording with a tablet or a webcam. For recording software, you can use OBS Studio, which has some fancy features, but can be a bit complex. One simple option is Zoom. Just host a meeting with you as the only occupant. However, isn't ideal if you want to record music. Most tablets can record without installing software, but can be harder to edit on. There are fancier options like buying a decent camcorder or registering with your local public access studio, but again, I recommend start small. Step 6. Take your scenes and edit them together with the movie. As these files can be pretty large, this is ideally done on a desktop computer if you have one, rather than a phone, laptop, or tablet. As for software, if you're already paying for Adobe Suites, I've been told Premiere is one of the best. If you're not, I recommend DaVinci Resolve. The base version is free and has everything you really need to make a video. If you struggle with the software, there are thousands of short video tutorials online. I could do an entire video on just editing videos, and to be honest, I likely will someday. Step 7. Share. Upload it to YouTube or Internet Archive. You can submit it to the streaming sites I mentioned before. They'll likely share it for free or cheap. However, they aren't going to pay you. Remember my earlier warning about there's no money in horror hosting? There's also lots of horror host groups on social media that you can share it with. Now, there are tips and tricks on how to extend your reach and build your audience. And if you discover the secret, please share it with me. And congratulations! You've done it! You're now a horror host! Which leads us to step number 8. Repeat. Now, I hate gatekeeping. If you have hosted a single horror movie, you are a horror host. But if you want to keep at it, you'll have to start back at step number 4. Find a movie. Make a script. Edit. Rinse, repeat. Which can be a lot of fun one day, and a lot like pulling teeth the next day. I love horror hosting because it lets me do anything I want based on my current interest. I hate it because I still have to do everything, even if it's not what I'm currently fixated on. If you ever lose momentum, if you feel like your passion waning, that's fine. Take a breather, take a day off, and then go back to step 1. Remember that good reason I told you to write down? Pull it back up and remind yourself why you're doing this. Told you it'd come in handy. You can do it. I believe in you, and I can't wait to see what you make. Speaking of which, post it below. Oh, and I forgot the 8.5 step. Have a good catchphrase. I like to end my videos with, eat, drink, and be scary, for tomorrow we die.
If your monster's sad and bitter, or he's feeling like a quitter, see the monster sitter, Mr. Princeton Vice.
Exhaustive. Exhaustive? That's the right word? Yeah, thank you.